Thank you, Amit and Meenakshi, for joining in. It's always pleasure to have esteemed guests like you who can kind of, make our audience understand more about the trends that are taking over in the HR tech world and in the HR world. The stepping stone to, reach post-pandemic normalcy is survival in uncertainty, planning for the future, and bouncing back stronger. Organizations are fundamentally strong and focused to rebound with changing jobs and hiring trends. The gig ecosystem is pioneering the evolution of workforce based on simplistic business model, which is of flexible staff and freelancers. It completely runs on the sentiment of being your own boss. I think that is something that everybody enjoys. That they do not really have to be tagged to one organization, or they don't need to be tagged to certain number of hours. And this phenomena and this gig economy can serve up to 90 million jobs in the non-farm sectors in India, with a potential to add around 1.25% to the GDP over the long term. And today we are going to, of course, talk about this. This understanding this human cloud, and of course gig in tech, which is very, very critical, because while this phenomena is growing across everywhere in the world, including India, tech is playing a very critical role in enabling this business model. And I would love to get your opinion, industry opinion, and your personal opinion about what do you think about this rise of gig economy in India, and how technology plays a crucial role to ensure that this becomes the moving phenomena in the country. With having said that, I'm Deval Singh. I am the business head of telecom and technology at TeamLease Services, and I have some brilliant guests today with me as part of this webinar. And one of them is Amit. Amit Rai is currently the head HR at Tata Sky Broadband, who comes with more than 15 years of work experience. He also leads the organization's wide digital transformation strategy. He's an HR practitioner with engineering background, having expertise in talent management, performance management, succession planning, and L&D. Amit has previously worked with leading companies such as HCCB, Aditya Birla Group, Crompton Greaves, Landmark Pharma, and Mahindra. Welcome, Amit, and thank you so much for joining into this webinar.
Pleasure.
I also have Thank you. I also have Meenakshi Casey, currently the director of people practices at Happiest Mind Technology, who comes with over 20 years of work experience, of which she has been on Happiest Mind Technologies for the last 10 years. She's also a legal professional with an outstanding understanding of legal and compliance process. Meenakshi has previously worked with leading companies such as Mindtree, Astaysoft, and Srivastava Associates. She holds a PGD PM and IR from Bangalore University. Meenakshi, always a pleasure to have you on the webinar. Welcome again.
Thank you.
Akhilesh, you're there. Fantastic. I also would like to introduce Akhilesh. I'm so glad, Akhilesh, you could join in. Sorry about the link issue. He's currently Thank you. He's currently the business HR India region at Nurture.farm, who comes with more than 12 years of work experience. He's a progressive learner who has helped deliver great talent management assignments in tech, agri-services, agri-retail startup, healthcare education, QSR, and insurance with reputed organization. Akhilesh has previously worked with leading companies like VLCC, Cafe Coffee Day, and Bajaj Capital. I think, once again, welcome, Akhilesh. I think I'm super excited to have the three of you in this webinar, because you all come from different industries and you get in this different perspective. And because we are talking about gig economy and the tech that it enables the gig economy, I would love to hear Amit's view about how he sees this phenomena kind of taking a rise in the telecom industry, with Meenakshi talking about the impact and the technology, and Akhilesh, of course, talking about agri-tech. So once again, welcome. And let's start with our first question, which I have for Meenakshi. Meenakshi, what do you think about this gig phenomena that is capturing the world and, of course, India? And how do you believe or feel do you think that the post-COVID, I don't know if it's a post-COVID situation, but has COVID amplified it for the better? And if it is better, why do you feel so?
Good morning to all of you. First of all, thank you, Deval, for the introduction, and to the TeamLease team for inviting me into the session as one of the panelists, and my best wishes to the co-panelists and rest of you out there. right? So thank you. So with this word gig, I'm just getting, before getting into the question about gig, gig has a lot of connotations, right? It has been described in many ways. One which I would like to mention out of the many has been a slang for, a live musical performance, a short note that you can sing. It's basically an engagement, right? A musical performance. So from there, I feel is a parlance that we got in here to our how the gig activity has been worked. It's composed of, independent contract freelancers who come in to doing part-time work for a particular specific area. They earn money for that particular task that they do. They come and go. They can free to work in different organizations and to also go back a little, this is not the word gig probably has come in shortened up very recently, but gig workers are, it's an age-old factor which is already there. It's not very recent. It coexisted along with our traditional employer-employee relationship in the very past, in many sectors in the past too. Today, when we talk about based on your question on COVID being amplified, if you look at it, yes, the situation, we have seen a huge rise in this phenomenon. It's definitely a fantastic opportunity to be explored for people. And considering with the pandemic, it opened out a lot of our, ways of thinking, vision, the eyes of people in, the leadership team and organizations, where the world today has accepted the virtual way of working. And we have seen that boundaries have been thrown open. People can choose, their team members from across the globe, wherever they are, and you can get the best talent for this kind of job. In this kind of space, when you need somebody to doing a specific activity for you, a specific role for you, this is the best way to bringing in, right? And seen a lot of this in education sectors, and it's been today with children sitting at home and studying, we've seen that into a higher aspect. The digitization, the transparency and the trust that has built in over the pandemic, because most of us, I would say most of us are still back at home working from home. And with this particular aspect, the transparency and trust has gone up. So getting in gig workers to doing that particular aspect of work has also something which is way above for us to start looking at and imbibing and bringing in. And while we do all of that, yes, in the IT sector, because I come from the IT services background, so to talk about our area of work, it has not largely expanded to an extent, because there are a lot of things, and for various reasons that we have to checkpoint while we formalize it completely. But in certain areas like in finance, HR, in certain consulting areas, the trends are picking up. But otherwise, largely seen in many other aspects. So this is from me on short on how COVID has amplified this model.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Meenakshi. And I completely second you when you're talking about how the transparency and trust quotient has gone up. And this kind of talks a lot about what this economy is all about. And good to hear about the fact that this is something that was happening even before the phenomena actually kicked off the way it did because of COVID. Amit, would you second that, or do you have a different opinion per se about how this phenomena has risen in India? And what do you think about that with keeping telecom industry in mind?
Without doubt, I second what Meenakshi has said. I think, look, let's look at it like a classical supply demand. Now, what happened previously, I'm talking before COVID and before the advent of internet to that extent, that we fulfilled all these needs locally. We going and whomsoever we need, we went and we got that need fulfilled. Now, what has happened with internet, the infra bit has started helping you connect to the world outside which you have not explored before. So today, if you go on Upwork, you can look voiceover artists to anyone who is freelancing for you on any subject. So now you started exploring, because once you got away, you will start exploring that. I think that has happened because of internet, being accessible. Second bit, I think COVID has helped change behaviors. if you look at initially, we all work for fulfilling our physiological needs and safety needs. Now, what has happened with COVID, people understood the relationship and now people are working for their self-esteem, and that's why a lot of people are leaving their traditional jobs and they are adopting the newer way and freelancing, and they're working with multiple organizations at the same time. So I think these behaviors are really helping the connect. So if you think about local restaurants, you always ordered from your local. Now with Zomato coming in, you can call it from 20 kilometers away. In fact, a company like Just for Root can deliver a Kolkata biryani in Gurgaon. So I think this particular platform is helping people connect beyond what they have thought, and change which has been accelerated by COVID is helping people pick up this particular, and that's why I said gig is something that organizations are adopting. We are definitely doing that. So that this is what my take is.
Brilliant. Thank you, Amit. Akhilesh, I mean, I would love to hear your opinion for the fact that you've been doing this now for a while, right? And what drove that thought process or that model into your organization, and what, of course, is your personal opinion about the rise of this phenomena, or this? Instead of saying phenomena, I would rather say this type of business model or this kind of hiring. What is your opinion about it?
Yeah. Thank you, Deval. Echo the thoughts of Meenakshi and Amit. Just add to that, it's all about as I consider this opportunity, of course, as future people build capacity, capability building point of view, because COVID and of course shock to the market and how we need to adjust, okay, within the uncertain situation. Okay, so wherein gig, I consider gig is more into entrepreneurial split that we are developing into the societies, because this is what we are thinking about through variable pay models, even into permanent roles or contractual roles. We are coming up with different compensation plan to incorporate into the variable model, so that people will move out from their employment mindset to entrepreneurial mindset, and gig is actually into that. So in unorganized sector like agriculture or any of other sectors, QSR and other things, just add to Amit, okay. So wherein people are looking for opportunity and they wanted to grow, okay, within the area, and gig is the right model which is emphasizing into the concern. And I guess we are also trying to build capabilities for strengthening the overall vision of the nation, where we are empowering youth into the rural areas, because the emerging market is really going up, okay. And look at the value that we are generating in the societies, wherein we are more focusing into diversity, okay, how we are into inclusion of business, okay. So gig is the right model, which I consider as a futuristic business model, and I guess it's the right time to pitch into. Yeah.
Totally agree with all three of you. I think what I understand here from what you all are saying is that this is the right model. It is a model that is inclusive. I think one of the things, Akhilesh, that we have discussed also in the future, or we have had discussions around, is how diversity kind of drives this model, correct? That people do talk about getting women in, people do talk about getting differently enabled workforce. And also, I think I always love it when, Meenakshi talks about trust, transparency. I mean, gone are the days when, we used to think that are people really working from home, or are people really doing their job, or maybe out doing something else while I think they're doing their job. So that confidence that, we can let them be, and they will still show me the kind of productivity that they need to, in spite of the fact that they are not in the office, is something that is also driving this model. And Amit's opinion about how...
I just add here, they will see, because in the agriculture, which is the sector, we always have, male lens, okay, wherein, it's more into physical jobs that, female can't deliver. But if you go down in the field, and you can see 70% are women workers into the agriculture. And that's how, gig has, given us courage to explore the opportunity for female workers, wherein they can come join us and grow and learn. and earn, of course, for their betterment livelihood.
No, thank you so much. That was about, I was about to take it to our next question, but you already gave me a bit of a context to it. So just piggybacking on what Akhilesh is saying, Meenakshi, diversity plays a very critical role, right? And if you see, there are big companies who kind of now have taken targets of how many women would they want to deploy across urban India and rural India under the gig model, or how many differently enabled, and that percentage, by the way, is going up year on year. How do you feel about this phenomenon? How do you feel about this way of hiring, in that the diversity quotient that plays a critical role? I mean, where do you see it evolving, and how do you believe it's going to help India in the futures as they add it?
So that question first for me, right, Deval? Okay. So, Deval, yes, agree to what Akhilesh has said. The diversity quotient will definitely increase with this work scenario, right? Considering that in our traditional work styles, many a times women, they reach up to a particular level and they either resign because they're getting married to people in some other locations. They have to leave the job and go and join the husband. Or it could be that a child is born into the family, they need support, and then they need to move. I mean, most women go through, I mean, all of these are milestones that a woman goes through, and for which reason, many a times it is today, being in the Indian society, we still consider it is a requirement for us to continue to being taking care of the home, the family, and being moving around wherever the husband moves or with work. But today, and then after the baby is born today, luckily our maternity benefit has expanded from 3 months to the 6 months time, where the mother has more time with the child. But considering that the child is not very big when it's 6 months old, for the mother to come back to work very comfortably, being a mother myself, I'm a woman, I would definitely want to say that it's not very easy to come away leaving the child maybe in a creche, or best suited if you have your family back at home to take care. But today's situation, while all of these are present, the lady can still pick up work even when she's in her maternity leave, where she can given regulations that I can still get into gig working, doing the task. She could be an SME, SME in a particular area of work. She could do a lot of her activities wherever she is in her hometown, being in her workspace, along with a child, even with a child on her lap, she could. So this is something that has expanded a lady to get back to work and not wait for certain, contingencies and things like that. Considering this, when I say diversity, I'm not only leading that into a male and a female aspect, if it is certain things, but mobility is an issue for certain people. I think people who have those issues to move into office space and things, that this has been a wonderful platform then for them. There are today, because education areas are on the high today in giving these kind of courses, servicing them so that they can take freelance jobs. And I'm sure today it is acceptable, just like how I said in my earlier response, because it is available. If you build that trust with the employer, I think people working in any place, be it a lady, a person with any other ailments, which has actually pushed that person not to come to office from 9 to 5 or whatever time period. I think this has been a wonderful aspect to make use of the intelligence that he has to roll it out as an work, and which can benefit the organization to a large extent. Yeah, Deval.
Second you, Meenakshi, on this. Amit, 90 million jobs are going to get added in the long term. That's a lot of openings coming in, right? So again, Akhilesh spoke about how women are way more diligent in most parts of the country, and they depend on women kind of joining their workforce. And Meenakshi talking about how the trust quotient is higher in this model. What are your opinion about how diversity is going to grow as the years add in under the gig economy?
No, technically, we have never explored 40% of our talent, because you'll see it for women to work is far more higher than a male companion part. And I think this is quite. Second bit is today creating that ecosystem at home, and this ecosystem where the male counterpart are also helping women at their home, this mechanism started working and fueling in, and that's where the productivity and women coming to freelancing work would be far more higher. So I'll give my own example. My wife started working, left the job, but today through Upwork, she's into voiceovers and storytelling. Now she's getting a lot of work through that. Now probably she's not earning as much what she was earning before, but she's quite happy because in the current ecosystem with a child there, and to an extent I am also good able to support because of working from anywhere and the flexibility that has come in because of COVID. I think this will fuel in lot of women coming to this workplace through gig, and I think it's really important for us to ensure that we have a smooth talent flow in and how we nurture them. I think talent landscape looks very good.
Brilliant. I agree with you on that, Amit. Now let's explore a little bit more in detail. Amit, I'll go back to you. Do you feel or do you believe that gig helps, these gig jobs or multiple jobs, whichever way you talk about, helps workers earn a better salary and a better living? And can this lead to formalization of the unorganized sector in India? What are your views about it?
So I think basis your skill, yes, because now you are not hooked on to one particular organization. You can share that skill with 3 multiple organizations at the same point of time basis the engagement that you have. It will always help you increase your money uptake is what I believe. Is it possible for all the skills? No, but for transactional skills, it will be because you have to put in physical labor. But for, I think, knowledge-based, gig workers, I think definitely what was the second question?
Can it help organize, can it help formalize the unorganized sector in India?
It is. As I said, we have not explored 40% of our talent. And then a lot of people, those who were working in a remote location who wanted to come in, and the mobility was the biggest constraint, they will start adapting to it. So if I am getting a skill which is available somewhere in Bihar and it comes with a 3 months start and end date, I would be more than happy to go and give it. And so, yes, it will.
Great. Meenakshi, your views on this? What do you think about, the formalization of the unorganized sector? Do you feel that this will lead to the better or to the worse in India?
Yeah, so I would say I would talk about both sides of it. If you're asking about formalization of unorganized sectors, yes. Could we think of before? I mean, I'm talking about being a housewife. If you're at home, you wanted a carpenter, or it need not be a housewife at all points in time, or you wanted somebody to come and clean your place and things that you have to make about 25 calls, ensure the person comes. I will come in at 10, but then lands up at 12 or may not even come. These have been the issues in this kind of labor. The labor has been very difficult to receive because they are, I mean, the so-called unorganized sectors, right? Right now, transforming that into formalization and bringing them under one umbrella, saying that they can be clubbed, like I hope I can use some company names like Urban Clap, right? This typical example of what I said right now, bringing all of these unorganized sectors who probably would have had to run around to get jobs are today in a particular arena where they can get jobs. While they're also working in different areas, they can personally also work in their own, areas and earn money. So they could be a receipt of salaries which can be 2 or 3 times of what they generally do. Because one example, if I look at Uber or Ola, the driver can sign in to Uber, can sign in to Ola, and he can also take his own free rides. So at all point in time, valuing the company's, restrictions and things that, moving along with that, I think that has been definitely, yes, to earn better salary, but awareness of such activities or formalization has to be brought in to the level that people can relate, accept, and also work on. It should be simple techniques. Today, mobile phone is there on everybody's hand. So that is a gadget which can be a simpler form for people to start off investing in this. While we talk about a little bit on the flip side is, since that the formalization is not complete in all sectors, we do find some of them not in, falling into this purview. So there are people still toiling to find in their respective gig jobs that they are capable of doing. And some of them today, if you look at it, they freelancers have very limited options, basically non-payment or a fraudulent customer, basically maybe, getting a compensation against event of death, accident, illness, for example, an insurance cover. Those are something which are not really or clearly defined as on today, which I just wanted to take one flip side, because since I told you in the beginning, I will take two sides of it. And this is it. But definitely, if a communication or, openness, awareness for people down to understand that there are these kind of jobs available, I think we can make best use of this, and people can get to earn much more than they would on their daily livelihood.
Brilliant, Meenakshi. Thank you. Akhilesh, I mean, you have been doing this for a while, and I'm sure you can maybe give more perspective to the fact that do gig jobs kind of increase the pocket size of gig workers? Does it give them a better living and better money otherwise? And also, of course, a bit about how this can formalize the unorganized sector in India.
Sure, they will for sector like there are multiple sectors which is yet to be organized in the country, okay, which is remain the focus area. Technology become aggregator here to give a platform wherein all organized sectors and the laborers can come into the one platform, okay. So and technology is playing a very critical role here to enable gig metrics, okay, wherein people are flexible to choose their jobs, people are flexible to choose their metrics, people are flexible to choose to decide their earning potential and to perform, okay. So again, I'm just going back to the diversity point, wherein we need certain skill sets, okay, which needs to be performed irrespective of the demographics of the person, individuals, okay. We doesn't have any concern for their age criteria, gender, or any spatial uh, you know differently abled, okay. So if the willingness is there, if they are flexible to work, they are able to deliver, okay, they can come into the platform, okay, and start performing, and here they can grow. And technology is the one platform which will organize in a manifold, okay. And technology will surely help into scale of organizing such sectors and the workers. Yeah.
Of course, I think that will take me to my next question. I'll take this to Meenakshi. Meenakshi, there is great amount of investment happening in technology tools right now. Now you're a part of technology industry, and I'm sure you have more information about and around it. Would you tell me a little bit about what the thought process is across industries and across companies for the fight that they're having for talent and to build tech tools that would enable this hiring model? What's your view about it, and how do you see it evolving in the years to come?
Again, I'm on mute. So when we talk about the tools that, so that's the first aspect that has to be looked into while engaging anybody into work. Because what is a measure? What is the quantitative, qualitative that you would measure the person while working? Unlike that you've recruited a person from elsewhere. So in the blue collar or the job sector, the hourly gig work is very common, right? There aren't a lot of tools catering to these segments as of now, other than for timekeeping. Usually a time slot is there, and I'm sure Akhilesh and Amit can probably give in more details on that, me being completely from the IT sector. So this is what I would like to talk about, the non-IT aspect of it. But at the same time, when we talk about, there have been a lot of introductions to platforms to bring gig workers together for this, basically on scheduling tools, which is focused on mostly on mobile workforces for people to move in with certain gadgets and many of these work are based on timesheets, which can be hourly. Timesheets could be based on the timeline that they have given for each day, or based on so many hours a week or so many hours a month. Then it could be hourly workers that we can look at, because these are things. Work can be also time-bound activities. So give them a period and time and say that this activity has been done. It can be also an activity-based job, right? There is an activity, you complete this activity, and that's the time that you take. And once this is done, then the tracking gets done, meaning the activity is done, the tracking. They get paid and then they moved on. Some of these jobs can be a combination of both of these. So it could be hours and timesheet, working on time aspects too. But without any of these, some of the aspects, right, like what I was talking in my earlier question, is on SMSs or mobile apps or mobile notifications. Some companies have gone beyond to integrate these scheduling systems and to connect them into their business tools, so that there is some way of modeling this and ensuring that there is some discipline in this way of working too.
No, I agree with you, Meenakshi. There are so many models, and the hourly, weekly, daily, all of that are now really getting registered through technology to ensure that we know what the movement is happening on orders, on people, day on day, hour on hour. Amit, what is your, what are your 2 cents about this technology enabling this model? I mean, think about this. These guys are 10th, 12th pass, in some cases, of course, graduates, but they can easily maneuver the technology. It is not like it becomes a hindrance. And that user friendly are these modules that are built for these gig hiring. What is your opinion about this?
First of all, we have enabled platform for gig in our organization. In fact, the front end is WhatsApp. So in terms of adoption that you're talking about, today we are hiring and maintaining the basic employee life cycle on WhatsApp. So the first level where people, finding it difficult to adapt to technology, I think WhatsApp is the simplest answer that I can give you at this point of time. So front end happens in WhatsApp, and the back end, we have our HRMS, which triggers and give the information on the front end of WhatsApp. Secondly, look, I think always the skill required for organization to the kind of skills that you have within the organization is always less. So you always need those skills. And I think I second Meenakshi, it's a combination of timeline. I think you need to have a start and end date. It can be hourly, and your technology platform should enable this so that it should become a part of routine. If it will be an alien system working somewhere else, I don't see that the impact of this particular role on the organization would be to that extent. So if you feel this, if an organization feels this is a gig and this is an outside ecosystem, I feel the culture of the organization has to change, because on a single organization you can have an artificial intelligent what should I say? So we have an Amber, which is an artificial intelligent engagement specialist reporting into me. We have permanent people reporting into me, and then gig people will coming and reporting to this particular. So the ecosystem should work together, and I think these platforms would help us. Otherwise, this will become secluded, which will not create that impact which you want from these roles to create.
Amit, I have a follow-up question on something you said about culture. Could you tell me a little bit about how do you build a tech culture? in an organization?
So I think first and foremost is your processes has to be simplified. Now, what you make at the top, and if you want this to be penetrated to the down, simplified the process, the easier the adoption, and people will reciprocate faster. So we think very complicated. In fact, thinking simple is far more difficult, and that's where I think we should put it. The second bit is how you communicate across layers. We communicate to our next line. That's it, and that's where we stop. And a lot of communication happen through secondary medium, which I feel becomes restricting in the first phase of it. You can go to that once you have established that change to tipping point. If not, you have to be there. So for example, if I am enabling gig in our organization, it's important for me to go and talk to my leaders, talk to my peers, and talk to people, those who are below me, to tell them that what is the purpose and all. So communication with simplified process, that effectively, and obviously the technology is the platform on which you'll be doing it.
Oh, that's fantastic. I think, Amit, what I hear is keep it simple. And of course, you have to amplify it, like keep talking about it, keep kind of communicating about how critical and important it is for us to get tech enabled. Akhilesh, a very different question for you. I mean, gig economy is all good. People don't have to commit to anything. They are their own boss. They can work X number of hours, or they can work for 2 companies, so on and so forth. Do you believe that somewhere it will also drive in the culture of, or something that says that, a worker has commitment issues? Right? Like they cannot commit to one company, or they cannot commit to one gig. A 2-part question. That's my first part. And my second part is that can gig jobs take over permanent jobs in the future? And when I say future, I'm talking about 5 years down the line. Do you see that this model, which is of course right now at the grassroots, at the volume level of organizations, can slowly start going up and take over permanent jobs?
Interestingly, actually, there are multiple dots that you wanted to connect with. Okay, so I'll take up in a different way. Okay, one, just to add Meenakshi and Amit's point, where it's a big shift into the culture point of view, wherein we are moving from activity to delivery. Okay, model, and of course, technology is helping us to enable certain metrics which will define the deliverables, because in the permanent role also we have certain deliverables. It's a way beyond time when we are discussing about the job roles, working hours. Okay, now we are more into the KPIs. We always have progressive discussion into the KPIs, how we are delivering. Okay, and now this you can also see multiple organizations, they come up with a different leave policies, and multiple tech organizations has declared work from home continuously. Okay, so it's more into the delivery. Okay, wherein people can choose their work hours, their time zone into work. Perform. But yes, gig of course requires certain metrics to deliver, to explore their potentials. But I can consider it's a big tool, but certainly it required a huge business engagement to deliver. Okay, because always it's required certain level of understanding, knowledge, and learning. Okay, that's always there. Okay, and to induct them well, and to continue their interest into the business, their willingness, and to engage continuously. Because see, gig, it's a freelancer work environment where multiple organizations can come and can onboard them. We have multiple organizations like in QSR, Zomato, Swiggy, many of. Okay, but still the organizations survive with their attention. So the organization has a big challenge how to retain them into their platform or their system. And here the permanent role come in place. So it is not going to eliminate. Yes, it is going to hit the ratio up, but surely it's required a lot of focus area to work on. Yeah.
That's great. Thanks, Akhilesh. Meenakshi, your 2 cents on this. I mean, right now, tech sector is going through a fight of talent. I think we spoke about this even in the last webinar about how technology sector is right now really burning out to get the best talent. And what do you think? Is there a possibility that gig could become a critical model for the tech world, where you can test a talent on the basis of their KPIs, OKRs, and then maybe give them a permanent seat?
So if I'm speaking just about the tech aspect of it, if you ask me, can gig replace the permanent employee? In my opinion, I don't think they can do it completely, because there are a lot of requirements in that, because being an IT service company, we are complied with a lot of aspects which we are in agreement with our customers. So we have to follow that aspect as a primary requirement. And there, like what Amit mentioned and added to what Akhilesh said, the culture is a very important aspect. In the company like where I work, the culture and the values are embedded into each one of us. I would say engraved into us, where we want to speak the same language, we want to speak the same flow of words, and all of these, the values are engraved into, if I write a mail, what I speak, what is it in my performance appraisal, what it is. So that is possible only when you're part of it. Today, yes, a little bit of it, I see it missing because we're working in from home. Definitely we want to get back because we want to build that culture, right? When we talk of that, I mean, I just deviated out there, because why I'm saying this is when you have a gig worker is like, somebody being from outside has not experienced this culture aspect of the organization, right? Though we do believe that the full-time employees, that is whom we hire, whom we ensure that they have those aspects within them, will cascade it. We do not see any of our team members who have come in, gig workers, freelancers, contract workers, differently. They are all seen as in the same, through the same eye, in the same level, because respect each one for the work that they do. And that is what has enabled some of them to, again, get away from this contractual work and want to work with us. And that is something that we have seen in our organization to a large extent. So a lot of it could be a reverse. And I told you why we cannot have entirely on gig, because of certain agreement terms that we have, because there are a lot of IPs, there are a lot of work. Initially, I'm sure right now, if you ask 1 year down, we don't have those ODCs, we don't have those knocks and socks right now. The trust, again, is built in. But however, we also believe that they have to be part of it, because we have a lot of compliance requirement which we need to adhere to. A lot of disclosure requirement, which of course, even a gig worker is essentially required to sign. But the difference of looking at it from a full-time employee to this is different. The reason why I'm talking about it, and it's completely my opinion here, along with what I said about IT services too. Do I have to answer another question on, you did mention about hiring? I mean, did you, or?
No, I think you've said quite a bit, Meenakshi. Thank you. I completely second your thought. Amit, are you of the same opinion of Meenakshi and Akhilesh about gig taking over perm jobs? What's your say on this?
So I think this conversation is like a computer coming in and taking up our traditional job. I think because gig and permanent people start working together, it will create more opportunities. Something that we have not explored before will start coming into picture. So for example, while a small company which has never thought about data warehouse, because getting a skill for data warehouse would have, it'll cost you a lot. Now you can design warehouse in 3 months, but because you wanted to hire someone on a permanent role because somebody would execute it for you, it's now gone. So someone would come for 3-4 months, would work with you, will implement and move on. I think this will create more. And then because data warehouse is there, you need those management, you need those analytics. So it will create more jobs. So I feel this ecosystem will start thriving more together. Again, I'll go back to my previous point. Culture becomes the most important bit. If permanent people will start seeing this as a threat to their job, and that's where how well you define KPIs, how well you define JDs, how you segregate, not too secluded, not too overlap. I think that's where, if you look at as a human resource professional, our organization traditionally, you'll find 50% of the organization would be partner employee. But we as human resource professionals, we spend 90% of time on our permanent people. I think that has to change. Your effort should be equally now divided, and work towards the role which are adding value from gig and partner ecosystem. And that's where the platform and all everything is coming into space. So did I answer?
Yes, absolutely, Amit, you did. So we have like 10 minutes to go, and I have quite a bit of questions pouring in. So I'm going to start with you, Amit. One of the attendees saying that a large number of jobs currently in the gig and temporary economy requires no special skills or knowledge. Do you think there will be more skill specialized roles that will move into hybrid workforce models as the economy rises back?
Absolutely. There is no doubt about it. And I think the example of data warehouse is one of the projects that we are doing. You will find knowledge workers getting into, they want to become their own bosses. The physiological and safety needs are being met. They are there at their hometown. They have food, they have their houses. Now they need opportunity, and self-esteem bit would kick in. You will find a lot of knowledge worker coming in. And that's why we said this platform organization should move towards it, so that we should not miss the bus.
Thanks, Amit. Meenakshi, there's a question for you also by one of the attendee. They're saying, with the advent of technology and the emergence of the Gen Z workforce post the COVID breakout, is the human interface going to increasingly elevate all HR touch points, such as L&D, organizational development, so on and so forth, to ensure the continuity of human touch in all people-related transactions for gig workforce?
So so it's a great question to ask, and it's very long, considering that today, when we look at it, in the last almost 2 years now, that the human touch has not missed, right? Because we have been, I am sure Akhilesh and Amit will agree with me that we continue to strive more with new engagement activities to reach out to the mass, right? Be it L&D example, yes, a lot of platform have opened up for people to read at their own space, in their back of their own homes and all of that. But then there is a requirement sometimes that these are best delivered while in person, right? So that, yes, the present the generation that we're talking about, who would like this, it's not going to be completely shifting into classrooms right now. The reason why we have those different models of classroom, as well as being online and learning through various sources, reaching out to the HR department for various aspects apart from L&D has also been there. Today, onboarding, if I talk about, is completely virtual. Whereas before there were requirements of forms to being signed. Today we have aspects where you don't even have to get the person's signature. There are there are applications like Hello Signs where you can sign on those documents. We can take care of all of those. So, but the HR team continues to being there to innovate and bring in, to accommodate the new generation, to ensure that we are in line and move away. When I say move away from traditional, yes, but the connect continues, because at some point in time, we realize, and we have seen, that the team definitely needs a team as HR to being visible, to being seen there, to lean on for most of the activities which are outside of their core work area. I hope I've answered that question to the team member who's asked.
I'm sure you did. I think, Akhilesh, there's a question for you. When we're engaging gig workers on one-time assignment, how do we know the credibility of the worker, as there will not be any binding contract on the outcome of the deliverable, as it is just an assignment for him or her? But for me, it's a crucial output to deliver to my company. How do we handle this?
So thank you for interesting question here. So see, we as a professional, it's of course, we have, we can consider in a two different terms, for work or off work. Okay. So wherein we all are working for assignments, whether it's a short-term assignment or a long-term assignment. Of course, with assignment, we have a progressive learning, and that's how, we choose to have assignments. So for binding, of course, it's a fair work opportunity. I would consider here the principle of, okay, if we have a fair work opportunity, okay, we have a fair work conditions, I guess that is the more important key element here to encourage and retain to perform the assignment. Yeah.
No, absolutely. So I think what you mean is, Akhilesh, there's a lot of energy that is put into encouraging, pushing, ensuring that the deliverable is met. And that is something, as a manager, everybody will have to drive as the culture of the organization, of course.
Yes.
Great. There are a lot of questions coming in. I think gig is such a spoken about topic that I would not be able to ask all of those. But there is one question for Meenakshi, because you spoke about diversity and it's hit a chord of a few people in the panel, not in the audience. Meenakshi, very happy to hear your thoughts on diversity in the gig economy. In continuation to that, in continuation to it, I could not rejoin work for 5 to 6 years. My question is, how much this gap will impact me as a woman in my career? And what should women do when they have such a large gap? Do you think that picking up gig jobs would be a way to kind of get back to the workforce?
I wouldn't believe that there is a requirement for bridging that gap at all. You don't have to worry about the gap. I've recently hired somebody with a very big gap, much bigger than what the team member is asked for. And let me tell you, if you are abreast with whatever you have done so far, it need not be even a gig work. You can also look for permanent positions because I'm sure you would be an SME already for a particular task that you are. Otherwise, probably it will just take 1 or maximum of 2 months for you to accelerate and get back into speed and to start work. Maybe brush up a few things which are in the last 60, I don't know which technology or which area of work that you belong to, because everything, be it technology, HR, or any of the aspects, the trend keeps changing every few months. So we have to read up, probably do a little bit of research, homework, and study to doing what you want to do. First of all, decide on what it is that you want to do. How can you take care of these aspects while you are planning to work? Because you have had a gap for whatever reason. And how will you cope up? And once you are, maybe for a short time, maybe look for the gig work of that particular area. Get in your confidence back and get back into shape. And I'm sure you'll do the best. That 6 years would definitely have given you some, I believe that maturity in doing whatever, whatever work you were doing otherwise also will take you to doing it. No gap is a gap for a person who's recruiting. So that is from my end, at least I can talk it in terms of my organization.
Of course. Thanks, Meenakshi. I'm sure it was very helpful for the attendee. Akhilesh, one of the questions is, how do you attract talent for this model? What are the different tactical approaches that one can take to get to hire for this kind of gig model?
Yeah. So see, there are multiple different roles. So the job will remain same, okay, whether it's a permanent or temporary. Okay, so there are different roles, which is process oriented roles, and there are critical talent roles. So of course, for gig point of view, more into the process oriented role where we want to have a service contract. Okay, so here based on the delivery, okay, based on basis of the assignment, we can have desirable candidature, and we can start target. Okay, so based on the industry, we can have target profiling, and then we can start approaching. So again, there are multiple job portals which is available, again, which will serve A grade and B grade cities. But there are now, because we spoke about the unorganized sector, which is into emerging market, so where we'll have a different tacticals, okay, wherein we should have right mapping in place, we should have right engagement activities, we should have right branding activities, so that we can market ourselves, okay, and then we can give opportunity. And wherein people, of course, in India we have huge unemployment, and people are looking for opportunity to learn and grow. and they are the aspirant nowadays. So I guess if we are into the right approach, we are there in the market, so we can.
Brilliant. The last question is for you, Amit. I have so many questions. I will have to keep this short for the fact that we are running out of time. We have a couple of minutes left. Amit, do you see pay parity happening under this model? Like, when you talk about perm, when you talk about contract, there is clear demarcation of pay parity. But do you see that also now coming into the gig jobs now that multiple companies are hiring into this genre?
So I think with specific skill set, I think people are negotiating right now. As we are talking, people know what their value is. And I think that discussion happens on the table. So definitely pay parity would be there. I think what Meenakshi spoke about in terms of social security and all, I think if you really look at our new codes, they are also ring fencing all these points. So I see the pay bit would become more, I think the parity would be there. And secondly, the social security bit will start ring fencing as well. So as an organization, I need to provide those social security to someone who is coming and joining me for 6 months as well. And I think this will become one of the differentiator, what Akhilesh was talking about, how can we attract talent? This will become a differentiator that why a gig employee want to work for Tata Sky Broadband and not other company. Because we get more. So this will become a differentiator. Pay parity would all be there. And I think governments are also taking step to ring fence the social security aspect.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. I think this is, it's time for us to wrap up. And I want to once again thank you all, the three of you, Amit, Meenakshi, Akhilesh. Thank you so much for joining in the webinar. There is so much the audience has learned from you. I have learned from you. And with the number of questions I saw on the board, clearly there is a lot of interest in wanting to learn more about how this business model is going to evolve and how technology is going to play a crucial role in ensuring that there are more and more jobs multiplying in the country, where right now unemployment is at its highest. And of course, the quotient of female labor participation, which is the lowest, and diversity is a key driver to this business model. It was a pleasure talking to you about people, process, and technology about this model, and I look forward to talking to you in future. Thank you once again for joining in.
Thank you so much.
Well, just one point that I wanted to add for the team. Unilever has 2 days ago released a note that they're moving away from the traditional way of working and into flexi and gig working. They call it flexi-curity. And it's a very good article to read. Some of the questions which I read through can be answered from, I think they should read. They can read on Unilever's this little note which is given, very nicely written. Just wanted to give this back to the team which is there. Thank you so much, Deval.
Thank you. Thank you, Meenakshi. Thank you, Amit. Thank you, Akhilesh. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.